can see me and hear me clearly, drop a thumbs up or type OK in the chat box, please. If you can see me and hear me clearly, drop a thumbs up or type OK in the chat box, please. We're about to get started. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think we are good. I'm set to get started. All right. All right, good afternoon once again. It's a beautiful day here today. Welcome to this transformative webinar hosted by Myadmissionlink, an international education agency dedicated to helping professionals explore, study, and work abroad opportunities. It's a beautiful day again. Just like I said, I am thrilled about this life-changing opportunity we are about to share in this webinar on how professionals can migrate to the USA as a teacher. So this promises to be an exciting webinar, one that will change a lot of lives. And it means that maybe 12 months from now, quite a number of people that subscribe to this opportunity with their loved ones will become a teacher in the United States of America. Yeah. So just before we get started properly, and I introduce the speakers, we have two speakers today. We have Akintayo from ETS. He's a client relationship manager. We also have Jim Tobert, who is the founder of Unison and the chancellor of Universidad Santander University. So they will be having their presentation just a moment from now. Hello, Jim. Can you hear me? Jim, are you there?
I can hear you just fine. Thank you, Paul. It's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so you have the floor. Sorry, before that, Akintayo, can you hear me? Akintayo, are you there? Okay, so hopefully before you are done with your presentation, you should be able to join us. Jim, you have the floor. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And I want to say hello to everybody. Good afternoon. I am connecting to this call from Dallas, Texas, in the United States of America. And I am really excited about, as Paul said, a life-changing opportunity. But I am also asking for your guys' help. We have a problem in the United States I need your help with. We have a shortage of teachers. And I'm going to explain to you why we have a shortage of teachers, and hopefully, if this is something that is of interest to you, how you can potentially participate in this opportunity. So, Paul, you can see my screen, okay? Okay, good. So I'm going to talk to you about how to become a teacher in the United States through our program, GoTeachinTheUSA.com. And for the course of this presentation, what I'd like to do is, first of all, oops, there we go. I want to explain to you why the U.S. needs you to teach in the U.S. and why you might want to teach in the United States. I want to explain to you how to become a teacher in the U.S. and then finally what you should do if you're interested in moving forward. So let me start off with why I started this presentation with I need your help. I need your help because we have a huge shortage of teachers in the United States. And it is estimated there's about 36,000 open positions. And that number, which I came up with last year, I now read is up to 55,000 open teaching positions in the United States. And it is a problem that is all over the United States. It's not localized, and it's in a whole host of areas. We do need bilingual teachers, Spanish, English, but we also badly need STEM teachers. We need special education teachers. There's a lot of different teachers that we need in America. Now, the state we are recruiting for, and I'll explain in a moment, sort of why, is South Carolina. And this is only the beginning of the states that we are going to recruit into, but currently we are looking to enter bring teachers into South Carolina. South Carolina, for those who you don't know it, is in the southeast part of the United States. So look at a map and you'll see it's along the Atlantic Ocean. And the districts in South Carolina last year reported that there was 1,600 open positions, and that was an increase of 1,000 from 1,474 the year before, and they lost 7,353 teachers. Why are South Carolina losing so many teachers? And by the way, this is just a representative of any state in the country. A lot retired, a lot transferred out, some were dismissed, and very few of them had very much tenure. So a lot of people go into the teaching profession and then leave. So then the question is, why are all these people leaving? Or why do we have this many vacancies? And the answer is demographics. The United States is aging. So is Europe, so is Japan, so are other industrialized countries. Our demographics are not working in our favor. And because of that, a lot of people are retiring and a lot of very important positions in these countries are available. Now, because of that, the salaries have increased significantly in the past couple of decades. And right now, the average salary in the United States is over $66,000 a year. And as you can see from this graph, this is something that is continuing to increase every year. So that's why we need teachers. What do you need to do in order to qualify as a teacher? The first thing is you have to have a bachelor's degree or a graduate degree in any area. And I cannot stress that enough. This is not a program to recruit teachers. This is a program to recruit college graduates. So if you're a teacher, an accountant, an engineer, a nurse, whatever profession you have, as long as you have a bachelor's degree, then you will qualify for this program and speak English. Okay? In addition to that, and I'll explain to you in a moment what this means, you have to also complete an alternative certification program, which is a program that if you have a bachelor's degree, will give you a degree in teaching, which will allow you to teach in the United States. So here's the overview of how the process works. The first thing you need to do is you need to get accepted into an alternative certification program. And this requires two things. One, that you take the TOEFL, and two, you have to prove your academic credentials. And I'll explain how that is done. But those are the two requirements to get into the program. Then once you're accepted into the program, there are certain things you need to do while you're still in your home country. You have to do online classes, and then you have to take the Praxis exam. Now, this is the reason why we have partnered with ETS, Educational Testing Services, and firms like Myadmissionlink Education as well, because they provide this very important exam, the Praxis exam. They also, by the way, do the TOEFL exam, which should be taken prior to starting as well. Now, once you have met these requirements, you are then eligible to interview for a job in the United States. And by a job, I mean supervised teaching. So you're in the classroom, you are teaching, but you're under the supervision of an experienced supervisor who will coach you through the process. In addition to the classroom internship, you do 150 hours of online training, and then there's an exam that you have to pass as well. And once you have completed all of these requirements, you are eligible to get a license. So how is it that all this is going to happen? Well, there's two programs that we offer that will provide you to meet the requirements. One is the service that we offer at goteachintheusa.com, our concierge service, and then the other is to enroll in our partner, the Alternative Certification Program. As I mentioned a moment ago, in order to qualify, you need to take the TOEFL exam, which Myadmissionlink Educational Services provides, and you need to demonstrate or show your academic credentials. And then after you go through this process, we will assist you in finding employment in South Carolina, which again is our initial state of working to bring candidates into the United States. And by the way, they are also very experienced in hiring um, teachers from abroad. They've hired over 2,280 teachers from outside the United States. Okay, so one of the keys to making this program work is getting the appropriate work visa. And the visa that we bring teachers over to the US are H-1B visas. Now, you may have seen programs that offer the J-1 visa. The J-1 visa is a temporary visa. It's a cultural exchange program, and it is only eligible for teachers. However, the H-1B program is a work visa that could potentially lead to a green card and then citizenship in the United States. And you do not need to be a teacher in order to qualify. Now, typically an H-1B visa can be challenging to get. There's a cap, there's a lottery, but there's an exception to that. And the exception to that is if you're coming to work for a not-for-profit or a government agency, they can be exempt from the lottery. And if they're exempt from the lottery and they're exempt from the cap, it is much easier to come into the United States. Okay, so what do you get your license in? You get your license to be a teacher, obviously, but you also get a very specific license that allows you to teach a specific age group in a specific topic. So, for example, the age groups are broken up into early childhood through sixth grade, fourth through eighth grade, and then seventh through 12th. And the subject matters for the older kids are English, math, science, and social studies. And then there are a number of add-on certifications. I mentioned special education before, or other certifications that you could potentially qualify for. Now, which certification do you go for? Well, that's part of what we do is we provide counseling given your background. And it has to do with your professional background, your academic background, but it also has to do with what you want to do, what age kids you want to teach, and what subjects you want to teach. Now, I mentioned we're going initially through South Carolina, although that we intend to expand the number of states we're doing this in. But even once you get your license, you are eligible to transfer that license to other states, and these licenses are fairly transferable. The other thing we do as part of the concierge service is we help you move to the United States. And we know moving to another country is a rather dramatic experience for an individual. And oh, by the way, the H-1B visa will also cover your immediate family, your spouse, and your dependents. And so helping you come to the United States and get here safely is also important as well. Okay, so specifically, how does this work? What is the cost of this program? Well, there's the Enroll in the Go Teach in the USA, which is a concierge service, and then there's the Teachers of Tomorrow program as well. The concierge service is $1,000, and there are three ways to pay. You can either pay upfront, you can pay one payment of $500 and then $120 per month, or you can do it in two payments where you pay $500 upfront plus another payment after that. Now, there are other expenses to coming to the United States, and we wanted to make sure we were fully transparent so the participants on this call can decide if this is something they're able to do. And there's additional costs of about $800 that are not included in our fee. The alternative certification program is $4,100. Now, this is very important. It's on a deferred payment plan. In order to enroll in the program, the cost is $299, but the remaining amount of money does not need to be paid until you get to the United States. And the remaining amount is paid after you get a job and after you in the US. Now, there's certain expenses also that are excluded from what we have outlined, and this will differ for every person, but these are some of the costs that are excluded. With that, that is sort of the end of my prepared remarks. If you have any questions, if you want to follow up with this, I want to make sure that I have the contact information for myadmissionslink.com, and they are available for any questions that you have. And with that, let's see, we may have gotten a couple of questions, um, but I'm happy to take any questions that you have.
Thank you, Jim, for this wonderful presentation. So please, if you have questions, start dropping the question in the chat box. We'll pick the questions for him to respond to. But just before Akintayo we join us, there are a few questions that I have jotted as well based on conversation with interested applicant for this program in the last few weeks. Firstly, I don't know if it's possible for you to share information because Nigerians, we always have additional plus one. Maybe you're married, you have a spouse, or you have children, and the way our culture is that wherever we are going to, we want to go with our partner and the children, basically. Does this opportunity allow for the teachers to travel with their dependents, the spouse and the children?
Yes, and again, that's a very important question. The H-1B visa is not intended to break up families. So you can absolutely bring your spouse and your children under the H-1B visa.
Okay, all right. So I understand very well that there are different stages to the application, and if I want to summarize, just like you said, there is an aspect where there is need for document verification and to write the TOEFL examination before maybe moving to the alternative certification program. Yeah. So I want to ask about the visa stage, the H-1B visa. I'm aware that it will be the facility, the school districts that will be handling the H-1B visa for the applicant. Does this involve any extra cost? Because I know H-1B visa is not free of charge. It's close to 3,000 USD to apply, to the US government for the H-1B visa. Who will be bearing the cost?
Good question. Typically, and I'm going to say typically because I'm not an immigration attorney and every situation is differently, but typically the employer will pay for the sponsored visa.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Guys, can you hear that? That's saving almost 3,000 US dollars basically, if the employer will be paying for the H-1B visa. So that's a wonderful opportunity. All right, so another question I have, I can see in Nigeria, before you can teach, it is expected that you have a teaching certificate, and that is regulated by the Teacher Registration Council of Nigeria. So the question that a lot of people have been asking is that is there a need to have, is there a particular certification, a certificate exam that they need to do in the US before they're eligible to teach as well?
Yeah, so that's the entire purpose of our program is to qualify you to be a teacher in the US. And just like the Nigeria has the teacher certification, we have the license. And in order to get the license, coming through our concierge service, we will then connect you with a alternative certification program and going through and successfully completing that program and taking a couple of exams will qualify you for a teacher license in the United States.
All right, thank you, Jim. All right, so there has been a lot of anxiety, fear, and worry about immigration policy, especially with the Trump administration, basically. So I can see a question here that is centered around that. Hope this package doesn't run contrary to immigration policy under Trump administration of US. Can you please talk about that?
I will absolutely be happy to talk about this, and I will tell you that, Paul, that is the number one question I get. And here's my response. The Trump administration is pushing back on two types of immigrants. One, illegal immigrants. So there's a lot of people who come to the U.S. on a tourist visa and they don't go home. Those are the people he is trying to get out of the country. So coming to the United States legally is very important. The other thing is he wants to push back on asylum seekers. There's going to be a much, much higher threshold for asylum seekers. The H-1B visa is meant for skilled workers. And a lot of people who supported Trump support skilled workers. Why? Because we have such a large shortage of many skilled positions in the US, we need to recruit immigrants to do that job. So some of you may have heard of this guy named Elon Musk. Elon Musk, who's a very close confidant and the richest man in the world of the president, is very in favor of the H-1B visa and our need to recruit skilled workers into America.
All right, thank you so much. So I think it's a big opportunity actually, because if illegal immigrants are being sent away from the US, basically it opens up opportunity for those who can legally, migrate to the United States of America. It means that there will be more job opportunity for legal immigrants in the country. All right, thank you, Jim, for the responses so far. We still have quite a number of questions to be answered. All right, so there is a question about alternative certification program. I know it's an important part of this process, and I know you've talked about it shortly, but if you don't mind, can you tell us how this program is going to be? Is it going to be like a physical class or a virtual classes? And what will be the requirement to start this program? And what duration will this likely going to be? Is it what can be finished maybe within 1 week or 2 weeks?
Okay, so here's how the alternative certification program works. There are things that you need to do before you come to the US. And one of them is do an online program that they have. And then the other is, as I mentioned earlier, to take the Praxis exam. Once you have met those two requirements, you are then eligible to interview for jobs to come to the United States. And once you come to the United States, then you are in a classroom teaching. You're not there sitting in a classroom like in a lecture hall. You are in a classroom teaching classes under the supervision of a supervisor. And that takes an academic year. Now, the one thing I say to everybody, there's a lot of get rich quick schemes on the internet. This is not a get rich quick scheme. This is hard and it takes a long time, but it's a way to do it legally and ultimately get to the United States. So that is the length of the program. It takes about 9 to 12 months to get to the US, and then once you get to the United States, it takes about an academic year to get your license. But at least when you get to the United States, you're being paid for the work you're doing.
All right, thank you, Jim. So I would like you to reiterate about the requirements to be eligible to be to teach in the US. Do you need to have a teaching background, or do you need to have studied an educational related courses to be eligible? And does it mean that maybe with just high school certificates, you can teach in the US? Yeah, so what is the requirement? Let's reiterate this for our listener attendants to hear this. What is the minimum CGPA that is required?
Okay, so in order to teach in the United States, you need to have a bachelor's degree or greater that's equivalent to a US degree. It does not have to be in teaching. It could be in anything. And we will help you get your transcripts evaluated and get you on the path to starting the program. You also need to have a minimum GPA of 2.5 and in order to qualify as well.
All right, so guys, just to buttress this and to explain it in a language that you understand very well, 2.5 CGPA in Nigeria is around 60%. That's minimum of second class lower before you're eligible for this opportunity. And what Jim is saying here is that you do not need to have any teaching experience or teaching background for you to be eligible for this opportunity. You do not need to have a teacher certificate under the TRCN for you to be eligible for this opportunity as well. All right, Jim, thank you. There are a lot of questions. I don't know why Akintayo is not here. Hopefully, he's still going to join us before the end of the webinar. So there are a lot of questions about TOEFL here. Some people are asking if it's possible to use IELTS. instead of TOEFL, and what would be the minimum scores that they need to have before they are eligible, before the TOEFL results will be count as eligible.
Okay, so I will tell you, the TOEFL is on a state-by-state basis. There's not one rule that is required all over there's not one sort of set of rule that's required all over the United States. It's by each state. And some states have exempt countries, and some states um, don't. So it really depends on the state. In the state of Texas, for example, where I am, these are the minimum scores, and they only take the TOEFL. They don't accept the IELTS. So while some of the things like the college degree are absolutely required, you may or may not need to take the TOEFL exam.
Okay, thank you, Jim. So just to announce this, Myadmissionlink is a partner and a certified testing center for TOEFL and Praxis examination. And if you would like to kickstart the process to register for your TOEFL, we are happy to sell the voucher for you at minimum cost of 220,000 naira. If you go to the TOEFL website, ETS website, to register directly, it's because of the exchange rate, you might be getting it close to 270,000 naira. So that means registering with us, you'll be saving yourself almost 50,000 naira. So in the chat box, we've inputted the number that you can reach out to on maybe direct call or WhatsApp. It's 0701 301-2390. So for you to register for TOEFL and ensure that you register correctly and get assistance with practice material, please contact this number. We'll be happy to guide you through and help you with your registration. All right. There are still quite a number of questions here that I'll be reading out.
Hey, Paul, here's one I see. Can I answer this one? The H-1B visa lottery occurs only once in a year in March. So is this program against next year, 2026? Okay, again, very important point. The beauty of coming to the United States as a teacher is that if you come to work for a not-for-profit or exempt or a government agency that's exempt, you don't have to go through the lottery. That's a big deal. And so people who come to the United States to become teachers, for example, do not necessarily have to go through the lottery. So that makes a big difference.
Yeah. So just to reiterate what Jim is saying, so under the H-1B visa, I think there are two categories of division. We have the pool system that comes on once every year, and we have the specialty exemption. So for this opportunity, this pathway, the teaching pathway, the application will be routed through the specialty exemption, which means that at any point in time, the application could be submitted. So this is not a lottery system. This is the specialty exemption. All right, so there is a question here. I would like to know if I'm qualified for these. I have HND Mass Communication, upper credit, postgraduate diploma in education, and master's in advanced teaching is in view, plus 12 years teaching experience. So this question is very interesting, particularly because of students that have maybe deficiency. They don't have up to, applicant that don't have up to 60%, which is to the minimum requirement in their bachelor's. So people with third class or a pass, or people that study in the Polytechnic, HND, but have a postgraduate diploma certificate, are they going to be eligible for this opportunity?
I'm sorry, repeat the last part.
All right, so there are some applicant students in Nigeria that maybe were not opportune to go to the university. They attended Polytechnic, so the certificate they have is called Higher National Diploma, or better still, people that have below the 60%, the benchmark, to be eligible for this opportunity, but have progressed to have postgraduate diploma certificate, like it's a bridging program, basically, that is done in the university, right? Would they be eligible with the help of postgraduate?
You know what I'm not an expert in? On evaluating foreign degrees. So,
okay.
And so I don't want to tell you whether that's a bachelor's degree or not. Maybe someone else you know, if you know someone who applied for graduate school in the United States,
Yeah.
You know, but I can't sort of tell you whether that's the equivalent of a bachelor's degree or not. So you'd have to answer that question yourself. Is this the same as a bachelor's degree?
All right.
Um,
So, okay. Go on. Thank you. Go on, Jim.
I just saw two other questions. If English is your first language, do you need to take the TOEFL? And again, that depends on the state. Like for example, if you're coming to Texas and you're from Nigeria, you don't need to take the TOEFL exam. And the exemptions go from other states. I don't know about the rules in South Carolina, but when you apply for the alternative certification program, they will tell you. And the other thing that makes it confusing, it changes. So last year, Texas significantly expanded the number of countries that are TOEFL exempt and that are not. So another question here is if you have Wes evaluated transcript, does it cover the transcript evaluation? The answer is yes. That if you have a valid transcript evaluation, we work with a SpanTrans. Some of you may have heard of that. We have a partnership with them, and we get good prices for our applicants. But as long as you have a valid transcript evaluation, you could do it from whatever country, and you don't need to do it again if you have a valid evaluation. So that's important as well.
All right. Thank you. Jim, I know you've answered this question before, but I would like you to also respond to it now. It's about age limit. Is there age limit for this program?
Yeah, great question. I get that a lot as well. And the answer is there's no age limit. And I tell people there's two reasons. One, it's illegal to discriminate on age in the United States. And second of all, more mature people are often professionals or often make great teachers. So that makes a difference. And then the story I love to tell everybody is we have a father and a daughter who registered for the program. The father's is a retired university professor, and his adult daughter.
Oh, amazing, amazing. You mentioned this to me before. That's very great. Okay, let me see if you still have more questions to be treated. All right, so I can see a few people requesting for the phone number to contact to register for the TOEFL. So the number is in the chat box, but I will just read it out again. 0701 301 2390. 0701 301 2390. Okay.
And you can see my screen,
Yeah, thank you.
and this is your contact information as well, correct?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please. All right, so just to reiterate about the question on the postgraduate diploma, because we are into international education, and myself talking to you, I'm a certified international educator, and for students with deficiency, once you have postgraduate diploma and you have at least 60%, most times you're eligible to apply for master's program. So I want to assume that this is also the situation with this pathway. However, to give you a certain response to this, we'll be in touch with you on this part. For those who have this deficiency, please don't be discouraged. You can get in contact with us, and we'll be able to give you a specific response to this question. Okay, so I have a US degree in politics. I graduated with a cum laude Messiah University, PA. Okay, so I think this person is trying to ask if he's eligible for this opportunity. All right. So the country of the bachelor's degree, does it count for anything? Is this opportunity only for those who study in Nigeria?
So again, you need a bachelor's degree in order to qualify for the program, and you don't need to be from Nigeria. You could be, and we are recruiting literally all over Africa and all over the world. So there is no requirement or no limitation on what country you come from.
Okay. All right, that's great. All right, so just to state again, after this webinar, on our YouTube page, Myadmissionlink. This video will be live on it. And if you'd like to get started with this process, we'll be giving a 10% discount on the processing fee for those who are going to start commence the process within 14 days from now. So please get in touch with us at Myadmissionlink. The contact number has been on the screen for a while now, but just to reiterate, the phone number is 081 06 06 06 93. Quite easy. 081 06 06 06 93. If you'd like to get started with the opportunity, all you need to do is to just show evidence that you attended this webinar. A screenshot or something will just be perfect for us. I can just see questions about the requirements for the TOEFL. There's a question, somebody asking if the 220,000 for the voucher covered for the exam and the coaching. Okay, so just to say, if you register with us, we are going to also send you a practice material that you can use, but we are not offering any coaching service. We're a testing center. However, if you are not in our location, I'm very sure that in Lagos and all the other states in Nigeria, there are TOEFL center there, so we can register you. We ask you the nearest location or where you like to write the examination during the registration. Jim, one particular aspect that is very crucial that maybe we need to talk more about is the Praxis examination. Remember that personally, I asked a lot of questions about it from you as well too, and I'm so sure that a lot of people here today Praxis might be a bit strange to them, because I know that prior to now in Africa, we used to have just one testing center in the whole of Africa. Perhaps maybe that's the reason why people have been able to take advantage of this teaching pathway in the US. But I know that recently there are introduction of additional 3 centers and in Nigeria, and Myadmissionlink happens to be one of the accredited centers for the Praxis examination. Can you please talk more about the Praxis, the module? Is it an English test as well? What kind of tests or assessment is Praxis and the significance?
Yeah, so the Praxis exam is sort of the entrance exam into the teaching profession. And as Paul just mentioned, it used to be offered in only one location in Africa. It was in Accra, Ghana. So all of our candidates from Nigeria had to travel to Accra, and from Kenya, and from every other country. But because of our partnership with ETS, they have significantly expanded the number of Praxis teaching centers throughout Africa. So they're in Lagos, they're in Nairobi, there's I think 12 locations now in 5 different countries. So again, from a logistical and a cost perspective, it is now much easier to go through this program.
All right, thank you so much. All right, so just to mention again, if you're gonna send a message to us on WhatsApp after this meeting with the number that we've dropped, we have a slide we've prepared for this opportunity, one that is very simple and very straightforward, that will let you know what is next to be done for this event. So send us a message about, you can just type the teach opportunity in the US or teach in the US. I'll be happy to send you the slide. And again, on our YouTube page, on our Instagram as well, we are going to make available the webinar video for your use as well too.
Hey, Paul, can I make one other point? I've now done this webinar in a lot of different locations throughout Africa. And what I find is it's a lot of information, and I understand that, and it's all new. So what happens is people think about this, and then they come back and they have a lot more questions. So one of the things, Paul, I'd be happy to do, if you want to pull together a group or you want to send me questions or what have you, feel free, and we will be able to sort of answer your follow-on questions so that you feel comfortable about beginning the process.
Yeah. Hey, Jim, just let me scroll through the chat box if there's additional question. Okay, so I can still see questions from our Instagram. So we have people on our Instagram page asking questions as well. So there's still a question. Also, can Pearson test of English be used to replace TOEFL? It is just TOEFL, that is a requirement, not IELTS, not PTE. It is TOEFL that is required for this pathway. And just like we mentioned, if you like to get started, you want to register for the TOEFL and need materials to prepare for the exam for the assessment, please get in touch with us. We'll be happy to help you with the registration. There is a question again about when is the H-1B specialty exemption for teachers commencing, and for how long will the window be open? For what Jim said, after passing the TOEFL, when do we do that? Okay, so Jim, maybe you need to state this again. I think it seems quite a number of people are still not understanding that H-1B specialty exemption does not have a particular window. It's all year. It's just like you want to study. Once you have your study your admission letter and you are ready, you can apply for your visa at any point in time. So please, I would like to talk about that too.
Yeah, so a lot of people are familiar with the lottery. They know it happens once a year. There's limitations on every country. And again, one of the beauties of what we are doing is if you're coming to the United States to work for a not-for-profit or a government agency that's exempt, you do not have to go through the lottery. And so it is, as Paul said, sort of an ongoing process rather than once a year.
Okay, so this is not the lottery system. It's a specialty exemption and it's all year through. If you're ready today, you can put in the application if you have the requirements. So it's not time bound or time restricted. Please, let's get that right. Okay, I think that should be that. Do I need course-to-course evaluation for this program? Yes, Jim?
Course by course evaluation, the answer is yes. And there are two different types of evaluations. One are sort of these, I think it's called an advisory report. It's sort of a high level about the university. The other is a course by course evaluation. And yes, they do require the more detailed one. So while I said you don't have to use our transcript evaluation service, if you get it done yourself and it's not the right one, you're going to have to do it again.
All right, thank you, Jim. So one particular question people usually ask is that when they get to the US, are they going to be restricted to work only as teacher, or maybe they can do additional work as well? And for their spouse coming along with them, would they be getting a work permit, and can they work anywhere they want to work in the US?
No, and there are restrictions on spouses working with the H-1B visa, so you can't necessarily do that. If your spouse, however, wants to do this with you, we have couples who apply for our program as well, so that both of you can go through it at the same time and both of you could be earning the salaries. Now, I've been getting some direct messages about send me the link for the evaluation, send me the link for the ACP. I can't emphasize this more. We are sponsoring this program. We have set it up. If you are interested in pursuing this program, you need to go through our concierge program, which is why I'm providing all this information. Now, if somebody says, well, I can go do this on my own, you can and you can't. Obviously, if you wanted to figure this out on your own, you could figure it out. However, the alternative certification programs we work with will not register you without first coming through our concierge service. So this is a very important thing to keep in mind, and our ability to get you through the process, to do it as quickly and as inexpensively as possible, is the reason to sign up for our concierge service. So if people want to contact me and say, well, what about this or what about that? First of all, go through Paul. And second of all, these services are not available without the concierge service.
All right, thank you, Jim, for the wonderful presentation and response. All right, so I know another question that a lot of people have been asking over the weeks is centered around what is the average salary for new entry teachers in the USA? And also, secondly, is it that immediately they get to the USA, they can start working, right?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as you don't come to the United States without a job. It's not like come to the US and we'll help you find a job and you've made this huge investment. You don't come to the United States without a job because your employer is your sponsor. Now, I've gotten some questions. So, how do I get started or what do I do next? So, when you call up or connect with Paul through the information that he gave you, he has the ability to register you for the concierge program. And that's what gets this process started. I mentioned the cost of the concierge service is $1,000, and you can pay either $500 up front or pay the whole $1,000. But the process does not begin before you contact Paul and before you go through the registration process that Paul will take you through.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Jim, for the response. All right. So I can see quite a number of questions on our Instagram page centered around what subjects are in need or in demand. Are there specific subjects or teaching categories that are particularly in need? And I think this is very important. So we know the type of application that we should also take.
I'm sorry, the type of application for what?
Yeah, there are questions centered around the type of teachers, subjects that are in demand, in the US. And for example, if you study a particular course, let's say you study English language or something, must you work in the US as on the based on the course you study in Nigeria, or it's possible to study a course and you go for another course another subject entirely in the US?
Okay, good question. And that's something that we will counsel you through during the application to the alternative certification program. It typically is dependent on what your academic background is if you want to teach older kids. So we had an applicant, he wanted to teach math, and he did not have the appropriate credits to teach math. However, if he wanted to teach younger kids, he could have taught anything that he wanted to teach. Are there areas that are in particular need? Yes. One is bilingual Spanish English, and I don't suppose a lot of people on this call are bilingual in Spanish, but that would be an example. An, Another thing that would be is of high demand is the other thing that is of high demand uh, is STEM,
Yep.
science, technology, engineering, and math. That's another area that is required. And then very specific areas like special education are also high need areas.
All right,
But
thank you. Okay.
but all I wanted to say is it doesn't matter what background you have, as long as you have a bachelor's degree, you'll be eligible.
All right. All right. Thank you, Jim. All right. So we've done this process breakdown. If you guys can see the screen to help you and to guide you through the process. So this is the first thing that you need to do is to write a TOEFL. And just like we mentioned, it costs 200 US dollars to do this. But if you're gonna change this to Naira, it's gonna be around 270, 280,000. But Myadmissionlink be a certified and partner for a certified center for ETS. With us, you can get the voucher for just 220,000 Naira. We help you with the registration and you can write the test at our center. So the next after this will be the credential evaluation. The cost of this, I believe, is 250 US dollars. It's going to be done electronically. Jim, do you mind sharing what document in particular will be evaluated?
Yeah, the answer is the transcripts is a quick answer. We have an entire process whereby we get the appropriate transcripts to do the evaluation.
Okay. Okay, so it's gonna be done electronically, and with discussion with Jim, it takes average of 2 weeks to get feedback for this for the evaluation. So it's not a big deal at all. So immediately after this, you can proceed with the alternative certification program. Just like Jim mentioned earlier, ordinarily this costs 4,000 US dollars. If you are going to the provider directly, you are supposed to pay 4,000 US dollars straight up. But because of partnership with Jim, it has been made a bit easier for you to pay. So you just pay $290 to start. When you get to the US and you start working, the balance of these $290, the balance of the 4,000 US dollars, I think that should be around 3,610, 610 will be deducted in installments when you get to the US and start teaching. Then after this, you can proceed to the Praxis examination. The costs for this is around 200 US dollars. We can also help you with this application. Once you're able to scale this procedure, the next thing will be to schedule you for a virtual interview with the US school. Jim, do you mind talking more about the interview and this stage of scheduling the applicant with for an interview or getting a job in the school district?
Yeah, so it's kind of like whatever other sort of remote interview process you've ever been through. Fortunately, we have this wonderful technology called Zoom or Google Meets or Teams, but the school districts are the ones who will be doing the interviews remotely in order to make the decision to extend an offer.
Okay. All right. So in a way, if I understand you very well, there is need for the applicants to be able to give a good account of themselves during the interview, because this will be a major decider, right? If they get the job or not, right?
Absolutely. And I'll tell you another question I get quite often, Paul. Do you guarantee us a job? And the answer is no. And I'll tell you what, if I said I would guarantee you a job, you should question the validity of our program. I can't guarantee anything. I can't guarantee your qualifications. I can't guarantee how you're going to interview. There are just so many things that are not in my control. So again, what I am doing is putting you in the best position to get a job in the United States. I'm helping you meet the minimum requirements to get a job in the United States. We're not the employment agency, and a lot of people confuse us with that as well. You are not coming to work for us, you're working for the school district. And there are some companies that will hire foreign workers and sponsor the visa and bring them to the US. That's not what this program is.
All right, thank you, Jim. It's been a very exciting webinar, one that promises to be transformative if the listener, the attendees will take advantage of this opportunity. So I did a bit of cost estimate of this process, and I can tell you that this is very affordable. We are in the international education space, and I can tell you to study in the US, you need to have its average tuition is around 15 to 20,000 US dollars, basically. And to be realistic, we understand that even if you travel to the US to study or to Canada, the end goal eventually is still to take advantage of postgraduate work permits and be able to work in the US. So with this opportunity, it's a direct access, to migrate to the United States of America as a teacher. And the H-1B visa is a long-term visa, 6 years visa, if I'm right. So it's a big opportunity, and you will spend it just a fraction, of what you would have spent on your tuition, which is even less than 3,000 US dollars, if I'm right, for this opportunity. So the next, the call to action, if you'd like to get started, please just send a WhatsApp message to 081 06 06 06 93. The number is on the screen, 081 06 06 06 93, and we'll be happy to put you through the procedure. Also send you the brochure that explain in detail the step-by-step information that you need to get started. Thank you so much for your time with us, and we hope that just like I said, information if not acted on is just mere data and information, so it's important that you act upon this information. You need to make more inquiries, get in touch with us. Jim, thank you so much. What will be your last message to the attendees, please?
I want to thank you all very much for attending the webinar today. And I want to end with how I started. We badly need teachers in the United States, and I hope you'll take advantage of this opportunity and come help us in the US. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Jim. Have a lovely day in the US over there. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.